craziest part about Samantha's cotillion disaster isn't the sabotage. It's the fact that the moment she stopped trying to look perfect, she became the most powerful person in the room. And honestly, that's why this entire Beyond the Gates storyline feels way more dangerous than a typical soap rivalry. Because underneath the gowns, crowns, fake smiles, and platinum winner hype, this story is quietly exposing something ugly. How quickly people will destroy a girl the second she stops fitting the image they created for her. That's what made this episode hit harder than I expected. At first, the cotillion looked exactly like the kind of glamorous soap opera event we've seen 100 times before. Big dresses, high expectations, rich families pretending everything is elegant, while emotional chaos brews underneath the surface. Classic setup, but the writers were smarter than that this time, because they didn't just make Samantha compete for a title, they made her carry the emotional weight of everybody else's expectations. And you could feel it from the beginning. Samantha walks into that ballroom already terrified of failing. Not because she personally needs the crown to feel valuable, but because everyone around her has indirectly convinced her that this moment defines her future. That distinction matters a lot. People kept telling Samantha, even if you don't win platinum, you're still amazing. Sounds supportive, right? But here's the uncomfortable truth. When people repeat that line over and over, it usually means everyone already knows winning matters more than they want to admit. That's the psychological trap Samantha is stuck in. She's trying to smile through the pressure while secretly panicking that one public failure could permanently change how people see her. And honestly, that's one of the most realistic things this show has done in a while. Because social pressure rarely comes from outright cruelty anymore. It comes disguised as encouragement. That's why Francesca Chessy's manipulation works so well. And let me say this right now. Francesca is not acting like a cartoon villain here. She's acting like someone deeply insecure. There's a difference. The easy version of this story would have been Francesca openly bullying Samantha in front of everybody. Loud insults. Public humiliation. Typical soap opera theatrics. But no, Francesca plays the smarter and nastier game. She starts with tiny comments. Careful not to trip over your dress. That line is almost nothing on paper. But psychologically, it's a planted seed. It forces Samantha to become hyper-aware of herself. Suddenly, every step feels dangerous. Every movement feels judged. Francesca understands that embarrassment doesn't need to happen publicly to hurt someone. Sometimes the fear of humiliation is enough. That's what makes her dangerous. Then the rumors start spreading. And this is where the storyline becomes painfully modern. Francesca allegedly spreads whispers that Samantha once lost control at a party and therefore isn't perfect enough to represent the platinum image. Notice the wording there. Not criminal, not evil, just imperfect. That's all it takes. One rumor, one moment, one crack in the image, and suddenly people begin distancing themselves from Samantha like she's radioactive. Honestly, the crowd behavior might be the most disturbing part of this entire episode. Nobody asks if the rumor is true. Nobody defends her. Nobody even needs proof. The possibility alone becomes enough for people to reevaluate her worth. That is very real-world behavior disguised as soap opera drama. And the camera work in this imagined sequence would make it even more brutal. Samantha noticing people staring when cameras turn toward her, that's social paranoia at its peak. The feeling that every glance carries judgment. Every whisper is about you. Every silence means rejection. If the show directs those scenes properly, viewers are going to feel suffocated alongside her. Then comes the ranking reveal, and this is where the episode crosses from emotional tension into psychological warfare. Samantha's name disappears from the leaderboard. Not drops, not decreases. Disappears. That detail matters because it's symbolic annihilation. It's not you're losing, it's you don't belong here anymore. The public reaction is exactly what makes the scene so devastating. The whispers start instantly. Maybe she never deserved it. That line right there perfectly captures how society rewrites history in real time. The second someone falls from grace, people suddenly act like they were always overrated. And I need to talk about Jessica for a second because her role here is way more important than it first appears. Jessica discovering Francesca bribed a backstage worker completely changes the moral structure of the episode. Suddenly, this isn't just teenage rivalry anymore. It becomes institutional corruption. The event itself is compromised. Now Jessica faces the impossible soap opera dilemma. Expose the truth and destroy the cotillion's reputation, or stay silent and protect the image of the event. And honestly, that's a smarter conflict than simply good versus evil. Because protecting institutions at the expense of individuals is something powerful families and soap operas do all the time. Reputation becomes more important than justice. Optics become more important than truth. So Jessica's choice becomes a test of character. Not Samantha's. Jessica's. That's the twist people may overlook. And then the story does something I genuinely didn't expect. It slows down. Instead of immediately exploding into confrontation, the narrative isolates Samantha emotionally. She's on the verge of breaking, ready to run away, ready to disappear from the humiliation. That's where the mystery figure enters. Now, personally, I think the identity of this person matters less than what they represent. Whether it's a mysterious guy, a family member, or someone Samantha never expected to support her, the key point is this. For the first time all night, someone speaks to Samantha like a human being instead of a symbol. Titles don't define your worth. The way you rise again does. That line could have sounded cheesy in another storyline. But here, it works because Samantha has spent the entire night being treated like a product under evaluation. Hearing someone remind her she's more than the crown fundamentally shifts her mindset. And this is where the writers made the smartest decision of the entire plot. Samantha does not become stronger by winning. She becomes stronger by rejecting the rules of the game. That's a massive difference. Most soap operas would have had Samantha expose Francesca publicly, cry dramatically, and reclaim her ranking in a triumphant revenge scene. But instead, Samantha walks back onto that stage and does something far more dangerous. She tells the truth, not about Francesca, about herself. That choice completely transforms the scene because suddenly the cotillion stops being about competition and becomes about vulnerability. Samantha openly talks about the pressure to appear perfect, the exhaustion of constant comparison, and the fear of never being enough. And let's be honest here, that speech would absolutely go viral in universe. Not because it's polished, because it's honest. People are used to performance. They're used to rehearsed answers and fake smiles. But genuine emotional honesty in a room built entirely on appearances, that disrupts everything. The silence in the ballroom would say more than applause ever could. And Jessica standing beside Samantha is the final nail in Francesca's plan. That visual matters. Jessica doesn't need a dramatic speech. Her physical support alone changes the social temperature of the room. Suddenly, Samantha is no longer isolated. And once public isolation breaks, mob mentality flips fast. That's another thing the episode gets right psychologically. Crowds are unstable. They don't necessarily care about morality. They care about social momentum. The moment Samantha regains emotional control, the audience begins shifting toward her side. Which means Francesca's greatest mistake wasn't sabotaging Samantha, it was underestimating her resilience. Because Francesca assumed Samantha's identity depended on external validation, she thought removing the title would destroy her. Instead, Samantha accidentally becomes more authentic without it. That irony is beautiful. But of course, this is beyond the gates. So emotional healing lasts approximately 12 seconds before chaos detonates again. The blackout scene, absolutely genius soap opera timing. Right when Samantha emotionally reclaims herself, the lights go out. One loud noise. Total confusion. Panic everywhere. And then the reveal. The platinum crown is gone. Now this is where the storyline becomes really interesting to me, because the stolen crown isn't just a mystery object anymore. Symbolically, it represents legitimacy, status, and public approval. And who's the last person seen near it? Samantha, of course. The writers are basically setting up the cruelest possible scenario. Samantha finally proves her integrity emotionally, only to immediately become the prime suspect in a scandal. That's brutal storytelling. But here's the bigger twist I think people are missing. What if the crown theft isn't actually about stealing the crown? Think about it. Francesca's earlier manipulation was designed to destroy Samantha socially. But after Samantha's speech, the crowd starts reconnecting with her emotionally. Francesca loses control of the narrative. So what's the fastest way to regain that control? Turn Samantha from victim into criminal. That changes everything. Because rumors can be debated, but theft, public suspicion, scandal, those things stick. And if Samantha gets accused after giving that heartfelt speech, the public humiliation becomes even worse, because now people can reinterpret her vulnerability as manipulation. That would be devastating. But I also think there's another layer here. The missing crown may expose how fake the entire event truly is. Let's be real. Everybody in that ballroom treated the platinum crown like sacred royalty. Families obsessed over it. Girls destroyed each other over it. Adults manipulated outcomes over it. But the second the crown physically disappears, what happens? Chaos. Meaning the entire social structure of the event was built around an object. That's the hidden satire underneath this storyline. These people claim the cotillion celebrates grace, dignity, and character, while simultaneously rewarding status, anxiety, competition, and emotional performance. The crown theft exposes that contradiction perfectly. And honestly, Samantha may end up being the only person who walks out of this emotionally freer than before. Traumatized? Probably. Publicly accused? Most likely. Emotionally transformed? Absolutely. Because once someone survives public humiliation, they stop fearing judgment the same way. That changes people. And if the writers are bold enough, Samantha's real evolution won't be becoming platinum winner. It'll be realizing she never needed the title in the first place. That's the kind of twist that elevates soap opera drama from entertaining to genuinely sharp social commentary. Because in the end, the crown disappearing may not be the real scandal. The real scandal is how many people only respected Samantha when they thought she was wearing it.